I'll let you lead with the intro here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Put me on the spot. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Gaming in General. It is our debut episode of our podcast. My name is Tyler. Also, I go by the name Church for anybody that has heard my name or voice in previous broadcasts. With me is my buddy Drew. Drew, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Like he said, I'm Drew. Generally, I just do a lot of gaming, and I play a lot of games. Video games, tabletops, card games, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah. Pretty much the whole gimmick is that we collectively have been doing a lot of gaming both together.
Between the two of us, almost 40 years.
Yeah, neither of us are 40, but we've done a collective about that, yeah. But, I mean, the whole idea of this podcast, for anybody that's curious, is that we just are here to talk games, just anything gaming related. We video game, tabletop game, card game, like we've kind of branched in a little bit of everything, and we're kind of just here to shoot the shit about the various games that we've either played or had interest in and all that good fun stuff.
Yeah, and I think today, to start out, we're actually pretty lucky. I was able to snag a copy of Warhammer Quest Cursed City.
Yeah, and I remember over the weekend you were telling me a little bit about that, and I've only been recently getting into Warhammer via you.
I'm sorry, it's an expensive habit.
Yeah, you bastard. But yeah, over the last few months, both of us have kind of invested some time into painting and building the models from Warhammer and whatnot, and we've just started to accumulate just a small little army. I think you've got me beat by a decent amount, but...
Well, I mean, yeah, I started, 6 months before you?
Roughly.
Spend almost all of my free time building and painting models.
True. But, I mean, it is fun. It is definitely a good way to keep entertained and busy with not a lot of stuff being available right now with the whole COVID shit. But
here we are going into year 2 of COVID lockdowns.
The fun. But yeah, I remember you were telling me about this over the weekend, and it was their newest game that they put out.
Yep, it is a boxed game, self-contained. You don't need to buy anything extra, just the box itself, unlike a lot of their other IPs. And it's got 60 different models in it, which at $200 for MSRP is actually really good for one of their games.
Right, whereas you'd spend close to that just for either part of an army or one big unit of an army. So
it is true.
I mean, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck just off of that.
Like if you really enjoy painting a variety of different sculpts and building things, definitely something to consider if you can find one.
Oh, definitely. Or even if you're just trying to get into something like this, I think it's a good introductory thing because it gives you
everything you need to play the game for 2 or more people.
Yeah, so not a bad deal overall. We haven't actually gotten a chance to delve into it just yet because Drew had picked up the game
2 days ago.
Yeah.
I spent all of yesterday building the models.
Yeah, and I think you had just gotten the one model painted.
I do have one of the Ulfengard painted. It is
so you want to show that
right
off?
Here, actually. If you guys can go ahead and get a good look at that. Where is the focus?
And also for context, for anybody that's kind of seeing the screen on your end a little blurry, we kind of really zoomed in on this small area right now because our what would be workspace is kind of a work in progress.
Yeah, we're in the middle of getting more stuff put together.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, we'll try and get some pictures uploaded of these, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That way you guys can get a good detailed look instead of just a blurry mess of whatever that is.
Yeah. Plus, once we get the rest of the workspace kind of situated, we'll be able to zoom out so you guys can get a better view. Like right now, you can probably just see a little bit of the background, which we're
still in the progress of getting everything set up. We're going to have some shelves back there, have some various models, boxes for games, stuff like that.
Yeah. Add a little bit more color and more to look at than just the blank wall and a few odds and ends.
Oh yeah, probably get a few more posters up. Right now we've just got the pre-release poster for Pokemon Sun and Moon.
And that came out couple of years ago now, which is kind of weird to think.
I know. It seems like it was just, last week we were going to the midnight release for that.
Yeah, exactly. And now the Gen 4 remakes are coming out later this year, as well as the Legend Arceus or whatever, so it's kind of like, Jesus Christ. Like,
is that this year? I thought that was pushed back to next year.
Did it get pushed back?
That's what I had heard, but...
Yeah, maybe. I thought that was confirmed for, like, fall this year, but maybe it got pushed back with everything. Yeah, I haven't kept track.
I don't follow Nintendo that closely. It's just something some coworkers were talking about.
Okay, so that might have been a recent thing then, because I hadn't heard anything about it, but it is possible. I may not be up to date on that.
Yeah,
either way, compared to when that came out versus what we are now currently at for everything that we're a part of, it's like, holy shit, time has flown by.
It really has.
But yeah, so we hopefully in the next week or so, when we do our next couple shows, or show depending on time, we'll hopefully have gotten a game or two in of the Cursed City, and we'll be able to give you guys some more depth as to what it's about and what we think of it. So
and give you guys a little feedback and input about the gameplay itself, how easy it is to learn, time that you may have to consider for playing a game of it.
Yeah.
So the box says approximately 2 to 3 hours, but who knows? That could be more, it could be less, depending on your group or your understanding of the rules, or how well it goes with your group.
Exactly. There's a lot of variables to it, and I feel like that's with any game in general. Like, first timing it, you'll have to really get the fundamentals down, and that's, I think, what takes the longest. And then playing the game itself can be longer because of either how fun it is and you get sucked in, or various odds and ends. Like, I know games that we've played that we start up
10 minutes that took us 3 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2 or 3 hours, just purely because we were trying to either figure out how the hell to play the game, or we just got sucked in right away and we just did not take a break.
Not put it down.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, once we get everything put together, we'll let you guys know what we think of it. And overall, if nothing else, I'd say give it a look if you're looking into like first time building models and have had any kind of interest in that kind of stuff, because it generally, for the deal itself, you're getting everything you would need for like a starting layout of a game.
I did the math, and if you're just looking at it for the models, it evens out to about $3.35 per model, which is
really
incredibly good price
for that's
Games Workshop models.
Shit. I didn't realize it was like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was expecting it to be closer to $6 or $7 per model, but
right.
Yeah. So, do you want to grab that first bit of stuff out of the box over there?
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh yeah, hand me those. And the 2 pins and the pen.
What else?
The pins.
Oh, pins. Didn't even see the pins right away. I blended into the box.
Right. But yeah, so I don't know if they're going to be doing these as a permanent thing when you buy the game, but I know that if you got it the week of release, you get these 2 little pins. This one right here has a skull, which is a recurring theme for the enemies in the game, and then this one has the wolf for the main bad guy. And then it's got some cool little cards that come with it, with various different arts.
Yeah, that's got... Jesus. That's a lot of shit.
Yeah, there we go. There's that one, and I believe that's all of them. And it also comes with what looks to be a just regular ballpoint pen with the game's title on it. Don't ask me why.
We will probably figure that out here before too long, once we get everything set up. If nothing else, it's a pen. So,
yeah, because I don't have enough of those laying around.
I mean, who doesn't? What else did you want me to bring out?
Just bring the box over.
Well.
There it is. Yeah, so...
And also, here is the...
Yes, the box itself. The beautiful cover art.
Yeah, it's got some really sweet artwork on it for the game.
I suppose let's start with the included booklets. We've got this right here, which gives us war scrolls and pitched battle profiles for all of the character models in the game to play in Age of Sigmar. And then we've got the rule book. It's pretty chunky here at I want to say almost 40 pages, which is not bad. And then the quest book with everything you need to play the game after you've learned how to play it. It's various different game types. You get a little bit of information about the setting and the characters, everything that's going on. Then you get this envelope, which on the back says, Ulfenkarn in Peril envelope. Do not open until the final assault decapitation journey has been completed, which is the name of the last mission that you play if you're playing through the campaign of the game. And it comes with a bunch of these really cool dungeon tiles, which the game shows you how to set them up for the various different kinds of adventures. There's a variety of different sizes and shapes for them. And they're all two-sided.
I'll say the fact that they're two-sided is really nice because they actually have quite a bit of detail and they don't look like you put all the work onto the one side and then it's just blank on the other, which is...
Right, and they're pretty durable, heavy cardstock, which is nice for a game that you'll theoretically be moving them around a lot in.
Yeah.
And we've got the Ulfenkarn in Peril card, which gives you an idea of where you are in the campaign, helps you keep track of things. You've got your 8 character hero cards, all double-sided for their way they start and after they've been, I think it's called inspired.
Okay.
And they get a little bit of bonus once they've been inspired. We've got all of these for the different enemies in the game. Shows you what they do based on, I believe it's a die roll per turn. They all have different profiles based on whether it's day or night, which is tracked by this. It's called the airship dial or something like that. I would have to look at the rules again. I didn't really read through them too in depth yet.
It's a dial. It keeps track of time.
And then we've got this, which is called the initiative tracker for keeping track of whose turn it is. It comes with 16 of their standard white D6s, 5 black ones for additional rolls if needed, and then 2 each of these dice for various attacks or saves, and then a whole bunch of just different tokens. Like we've got wound trackers, which are all double-sided. We've got these for the Ulfenkarn in Peril card. Got this, which shows who is leading the game currently. It comes with some just clear plastic Ziploc baggies, which I believe are intended to be used for keeping track of your characters, so you can save them from one game night to the next and keep everything organized, which is actually pretty useful.
I'll say, because there's a lot of shit.
There is a lot of stuff in here. The game doesn't look super complex once you get to understand it, though.
Yeah, it's just, again, taking the time to
read the rules and
get the fundamentals.
Learn it. Mm-hmm. And then let's dive into what's probably the most interesting part to most people, the models. And as I've already shown, I do have one of the Ulfengard painted. It's this guy right here. Again, sorry for the poor quality on zooming, low focus, but this one I used the Citadel line of contrast paints to paint up last night. Did a little bit of a basing for them. Took me about hour and a half. Don't use my time of how long it takes me to paint things as a scale, though, because everyone paints at their own speed.
True.
And we've got one of the heroes here. Cannot think of what her name is. unfortunately. We put the box of everything away.
I thought we were done with the boxes.
I thought so too. This is what you get when you hang out with us. Neither of us know what we're doing at any given time.
Nope.
Got a ogre hero here. He's pretty big. The detail on these is phenomenal, but not overwhelming, which is really nice. Got a dwarf hero here. Lots of lovely details. A couple of heroes for the Cities of Sigmar, one of the human factions, if you're interested. Got, this old necromage, I think he's called. Don't remember his name, but I think that's what he is.
Definitely looks like some kind of old man, sage, mage.
Got one of the Sylvaneth hunters. And the Witch Hunter, as they call him in Age of Sigmar lore. He's actually a vampire hunter. We all know this. The man's carrying around a stake on a bayonet.
Okay, fair.
And then we've got this box with all of the other miniatures that come in the game. We've got there are 3 different sculpts of these vampire guys, which are really cool. Where is the third one? He's in here somewhere. Ah, there he is. I'm not gonna lie, I am really excited to get all of these painted. I doubt I'll have them all done by the time we play, but I hope to at least have the heroes and main villains done.
Yeah.
And there is this guy, one of the main villains. I believe his name is Vargskir. The only reason I remember that is because it's obnoxious. Then we've got these orc guys or something like that. Ogres, maybe?
As I say, I didn't get a chance to look too far into everything that was in the box, but...
A couple of twins here, standing slightly differently so you can tell them apart. And we've got the big bad right here, in the flesh, so to speak. He's got a really cool sculpt. He's got a cape and I would say a wolf pelt, but it's more like the entire wolf draped over his shoulder. We've got 6 little rat swarms for one of the enemy encounters. Got a couple dire bats. And a lot of skeletons. I believe these are the new skeleton sculpts that GW is releasing for the undead armies.
Okay.
So get those a little bit early. And there's also some zombies. They've got both female-ish zombies. I don't know if they really care anymore. They're dead. But I guess it's a little bit of variety. And then these guys, more zombies. They all look like they just kind of crawled up out of the ground with their coffin tops attached to them still. Let's see, what else do we have? The mysterious objects, which are used for treasure hunt missions. You can investigate those and find treasure or traps. There's a couple different kinds. Got some little tombstones here, which are unfortunately really hard to see in the camera.
Yeah. I even looking where I'm looking, I can't really make heads or tails of what's on it, but yeah.
And I think these things are called dire goyles, which is just weird little gargoyle guys.
Fair enough.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. We didn't come up with the names or anything, but they're still cool all the same. Like, the models are really, really nice as far as the detail and everything else goes.
Undead cat. See? It's an undead cat. We'll name it Whiskers.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got this guy, he's another one of the bosses that you get to fight in the game, which is pretty cool. I don't remember what most of them are called, unfortunately, because, like I said, I only just read into it a little bit. But,
Yeah.
This guy, the Gravedigger, which easy enough to remember. Every game involving zombies and undead has a Gravedigger enemy.
It's kind of like a staple, it feels like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the rest of these are just more zombies and skeletons, bats, rats. And like we were saying earlier, we're going to give this a try sometime in the next week or so. Let you all know what we think of the game. Let you know how easy or difficult it is to understand the rules. In our opinion, of course.
Yeah.
'Cause everyone learns differently and at different rates. You want to set those over there? We'll just leave everything out on the table here because I am a fool.
But yeah, the game itself does look really good. The models, again, like, even if you're just getting into the games or the whole theme of building and painting the models, I think it's a really good, like, entry point, because for myself and I think Drew as well, like, we kind of just jumped in and found, like, a faction of models / painting that we were interested in doing, and kind of just evolved from there. I think for me, as far as like the model aspect went, I started off with Age of Sigmar, which I chose the Sylvaneth originally, and I later then found out about the Idoneth Deepkin, which I have a bit of a
affinity for water creatures.
Yeah, in a nutshell,
and
like
themes.
Yeah, and for a little backstory, since we're in the intro, I guess, of us and whatnot, him and I have both known each other for,
what, almost 10 years now?
Give or take. It's getting up there. I think about 8, we'll say, around there. But him and I both met playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Way back in the day, and over the years we had both gotten to a point where we were fairly competitive with the game and whatnot, and the deck that I was most known for was water-based. And
goddamn mermaids.
The fish people. And we've kind of moved away from it. He's moved his collection. I still have cards for the game, but I play at a much more casual level now. And I still have my water mermaid deck because it's just essentially an icon for me, and a lot of the people of our community that we used to play with will always know me as the water guy. So when we got into Warhammer-based stuff, when I learned that the Idoneth Deepkin were a thing, and they are literally, in a nutshell, what
the mermaids
were or are, I was like, well, shit. So I have since transitioned from Sylvaneth into the Idoneth, and then more recently, he's pulled me into 40k stuff, and now I've got a start on Craft Worlds, but it's...
He goes from wood elves to water elves to space elves.
Not even realizing it either. I don't really care what race, any particular thing that I'm building or like have an attachment towards. It just so happened to be every single faction that I chose was an elf type. And
which I found hilarious.
Yeah, and he told me after the fact, and it's just like, son of a bitch, or whatever. Like, all in all, I'm content with it. Like, I like the designs of all the models that I've chosen to go with and whatnot, and not not upset about it, them being all elves. It was just a little bit ironic, or not necessarily ironic, but funny that I inadvertently had set myself up. Shut up.
Just a little bit.
Shut up. That I ended up with what I ended up with. But, camera. Okay.
And my computer decided to go to the screensaver.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. But yeah, so that's kind of where I came out of the woodworks for a lot of this kind of stuff. And as far as like introductory, like getting your footing in this whole, I guess, what would you call it?
Boxed game.
Yeah, box game. I think that's definitely probably one of the better routes to go, again, especially for the value.
Especially if you're interested in Games Workshop's models in general. Because it gives you a good variety of, at least their undead stuff, and several heroes from a few different factions.
Mm-hmm.
And gives you rules to play all of the villain heroes and character heroes in Age of Sigmar if you've already started playing. And if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, all of the zombies, skeletons, rats, and all that fit on the 1-inch by 1-inch grids if you are interested in more undead things.
There you go. Easy peasy.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's our what would be game of the week, or so to speak. We're still figuring out a lot of shit, so yeah, we're excited to jump into that once we get it all straightened out. But I guess moving on, we'll kind of delve a little bit more into ourselves and kind of tell you what we're about as far as the gig.
Yeah.
Again, we come from like a various variety of games that we've enjoyed over the years, and I know for a lot of people in the gaming community that comes as no surprise. I think that most people have like some level in each area to some degree that they're involved in the various games that exist out there. But we're just two dudes that are good friends that just have enjoyed various amounts of games over the years, and just we figure
share our experiences and opinions about games.
Pretty much, yeah. We're just like
from a more average person perspective, as opposed to a lot of the bigger podcasts are, people that are associated with Games Workshop or Nintendo or whatever other game company, and they have all of this extra stuff that they can just go and do, whereas we're just trying to give you perspective from your everyday average people.
Exactly. And as far as all this goes, this is why we really kind of took on the idea of doing the podcast, apart from what he had just mentioned, is that I, in the last few months, have actually been doing some radio work. I'm now currently a part of Unrestricted Radio, and we have kind of just grown into building a platform for all genres and all sorts of gimmicky kind of stuff and whatnot. We try and emphasize getting local level bands and whatnot involved, and since I've been working with them, I've been doing a podcast over the last 3 months or so.
That sounds about right.
With one of the other DJs, and Drew and I had been talking a little bit about that, and we kind of tossed around the idea originally of like doing our own podcast, and we spent a good couple weeks-ish, maybe more, on nailing down what we wanted to kind of keep the general theme of, and we wanted to kind of what we wanted it to be, essentially. Because at the end of the day, we're doing it for fun. We're here to kind of just hang out, shoot the shit, and kind of tell you our thoughts on the various games that we have played or are interested in, or yada yada yada. And it's kind of just turned into what we are hoping will come to fruition going forward. And as we mentioned at the start, like, we still have our workspace that's in progress. Like, we're gonna get
finishing up getting sound dampening stuff up and killing some of this echo that we've definitely got going on right now.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's
some acoustic foam up, but it can only do so much. My basement is quite large and open, so we're going to be putting up some area separation of some sort, and we'll be putting up more stuff so that it's a little more interesting to look at.
Yeah.
It is quite blank currently.
And again, that's the emphasis as to why the camera is so zoomed in right now, is because
going forward, it's not going to be nearly this zoomed in. We're hoping to have something up to cut out some of the extra light coming from back there and get all this settled and have that done by next week when we record.
Exactly. But, yeah, this is just us kind of getting into the groove of things, and that's what we're here. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And course, we've been talking about this idea for so long that if we didn't start doing it now, we wouldn't have started.
Exactly.
So we apologize for, the poor image and audio quality for this episode, and hopefully we have that fixed next week.
Well, if nothing else, I feel like most people that start off with a podcast won't have everything quite nailed down either. So it is one of those things where take it with a grain of salt. If you like what you've heard thus far and our rambling banter, whatever you want to call it,
we'll have contact information set up in the show notes below, and we'll try and keep on top of that at least 2-3 times a week.
Exactly. And going forward, if you guys ever have ideas of stuff that you want us to talk about, or if there's a game that comes up that you think would be in our wheelhouse, which
absolutely
would be,
let us know.
Yeah, because
we'll at the very least look at it and give you our thoughts. If it interests us, we will definitely try and pick one up.
Oh yeah. So I guess moving on, we can kind of go into some of the stuff that we do outside of what would be now doing this podcast for our free time, apart from
me and my incessant painting.
Well, I mean, that is one of the things that you've definitely been...
It's not like there's been much else to do over the last year.
I mean, true. But you recently started putting together an Instagram page for your
yes. If you are interested in looking at some of the things I've painted over the last year, you can follow me at Gaia Flare Paints on Instagram. You can tell I've never done this before.
You'll get used to it. I still stutter. But
and if you're interested in catching Tyler here streaming any of the games he's playing,
like he's been doing his painting and putting it up on an Instagram page. I've been for the last 3 or 4 months been streaming. Again, mainly just to kill time, and I've been playing various different games with a lot of my buddies and whatnot, and just been having fun with it. But if you want to check that out and watch me make a fool of myself, or whatever I'm doing, it tends to be, which a lot of times is me dying for a lot of the games I've been playing recently.
Hasn't it been hydrophobia?
Phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia, that's it.
Yeah, I'm getting hunted by the spooky ghosts. Specifically Nancy's. Nancy's are the ones that are instant death for me. Don't know why. Any of the ghosts that have the generated name of Nancy, just dead. No questions asked. Any other ghosts, it's a 50-50. Nancy's, done deal. But if you want to watch any of that nonsense or chaos, because recently I've noticed a lot of people have been stopping by and really enjoying clipping a lot of my dumb shit that I've done. Like an Among Us, and again, the various other games. You can check me out at twitch.tv/churchesgaming. That's something I'm trying to get into a consistent schedule for, but as of right now, I'm kind of sporadic. I usually play towards later at the night, which I'm Eastern Standard Time, or I guess we both are.
No, just you. I'm actually Pacific Standard Time.
So if you want to check that out, around, we'll say 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is when I start to be a little more active online. It can vary, and again, I'll try and have a more consistent schedule going forward because I'm right on the cusp of affiliate, and I want to try and get into a routine so that way any of the viewers that do stop by can at least have a general time frame of when I go live, and then you can come in and just make fun of me and tell me I'm an idiot, or just say that I'm just not good at the games I'm doing. Or if it's a Nancy, you can watch me get murdered by a terrifying ghost, which they actually just updated the game, or I don't know if the update has just come out yet or not, but they've been adding some more updates to the AIs of the ghosts.
You mean the one that opened the door and scared the shit out of you last time?
Twice. That's happened multiple times now, but yeah, twice in the same night, where the door literally just flung open and Ghost is right there in the doorway. It's like, sup, bitch. So
Hatchet in hand.
Hatchet, cleaver, frickin' sickle, all sorts of various weapons, or just wiggling. There's one ghost specifically that literally just kind of wiggles forward, and it's horrifying.
Just awful.
Yeah, just tall, lanky, scrawny lady that just kind of wiggles her way towards you.
At least it's not Slender Man.
Yeah, true. But
gotta give him $20.
But they've been updating the AIs over the last couple of months or so, and the most recent one that's either coming out or has now come out, I don't remember exactly when they were going to launch that, but they made the AIs to where they'll spawn closer to where they last heard you off of their previous hunts. And the other thing that's really kind of adds to the oh shit factor is as the hunts start to occur more often, like when you're more in that hunt range and they start to hunt again and again, they will gain movement speed with each recurring hunt, which is kind of terrifying because there are like two types of ghosts that have like a generally faster movement speed. So I don't know if those ones are affected by that as well.
Well, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, because the one you cannot outrun in general. Like, you have to deliberately hide from it because it will just catch you. Like, it's the only ghost in the game you cannot outrun, period. But then they're making it so now all of the other ones will gradually get faster. So you have to try and, like, dip into a place to hide it or something like that. And the crazy thing, too, is, like, based on the difficulty, that will determine the length of time that the hunts will occur. So you'll have, like, I think the amateur level, which is the easiest difficulty, the hunts will last, like, 30 seconds. Whereas professional, which is the highest difficulty, the hunts will last 90 seconds. So you have to basically train.
Last for a minute and a half.
Yeah, and now that they can open doors and shit like that, they'll literally just run around slamming and opening doors and scare the shit out of you. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, but at the same time I'm not, because I usually tend to be the one that dies more often than not. Whereas my buddy Cody is the smarter one and won't die as often, unless he's just unlucky.
I blame Cody.
Oh, I don't blame Cody. I 100% blame me. I deliberately instigate the ghosts. It makes it more fun. You gotta poke the bear a little bit.
This is why you die.
Well, to be fair, there are some times where the ghosts are really stingy about giving you, like, evidence to figure out what type of ghost they are. So you have to kind of egg them on. And
this is why you die.
Yeah, but it's more fun until they start opening the fucking doors. Like, we were in the prison level, and this ghost, it was with four of us total, and we were trying to figure out where the hell the ghost was in the first place. We get to a point where we figured out where she was, but by this point, our sanity had dropped low enough where she was just able to start hunting. And this ghost was just a constant in hunt mode. Like, you get to where you could run out the time period where the hunt would stop, and not 2 minutes, not even probably a minute later, she'd go right back into hunt mode. She's just like, round two, bitches, let's go. So it was like, we could not figure out what the hell she was for a good while. And that was not even me instigating the ghost, mind you. Like, I hadn't done anything.
A likely story.
No, in this case, not so much, because it's a bigger map. So, like, unless I know right away where the ghost is, I'll be a little bit more inclined to, like, actually get shit done and try and help us get what kind of ghost it is and get the other objectives done as well. And then I could go and do stupid shit. But with this one, it was like, we could not get anywhere near the room she was in to determine what she was in the first place, because she was just going ape shit every single opportunity she could. I think she killed one of us overall. It wasn't me, but
I wasn't playing. Why are you pointing at me?
Because I knew you were going to say it was probably going to be that died. But
I don't know. I don't believe you. I think it was still you.
I'm sure I can find... No, I probably don't have the footage anymore. But anyway, yeah, the idea of the ghosts getting faster over time is kind of unsettling because I already have enough of a means to die without the help of the ghosts.
Well, that's your fault.
Oh yeah, but that goes without saying that the fact that they'll start to get more and more aggressive or more faster over time and have these like means of updating the AI to be more receptive to the players really adds to the intensity of the game, which I've really enjoyed. So, you want to see me be stupid and piss off ghosts or other games, because I've been playing like Fall Guys, I've been playing Among Us since they just came out with the new airship, which was, it's a fucking labyrinth. It is a fucking labyrinth in that thing.
I believe you. I still need to start playing Among Us.
It's pretty fun.
I mean, I've got it. I just haven't played it yet.
I think the biggest gripe I have, and it's not against the game itself by any means, I think the biggest gripe I would have playing the game is if you're not playing with friends, playing with randoms, and basically being in the text-to-chat kind of situation. Because...
yeah, I could see that.
It's hard enough to try and tell when people are bullshitting in games like that in general, but then to have like no like vocal signals,
no context.
Exactly, no context, no cues, nothing to kind of work off of. You're just going off of, oh, I was here, or I saw this person do this, and then just everybody will kind of just jump on it or eject. Yeah, it's like you never know what you're going to get with randoms in the game.
I mean, you never know what you're going to get with randoms in any game.
That's true, but I feel like in most games you either have some form of communication that makes it a little easier, but in a game of like Deceit, I'd at least like to be able to hear what people are saying, or just like be able to
listen for those vocal cues.
Yeah, or at the very least like have a better indicator apart from like I saw blue go into electrical and then pink vented. It's like, okay, I'm standing next to pink though, and they're nowhere near where you're saying, and then pink gets ejected, and it's like, well, later, pink.
It was nice knowing you.
Yep. But
tried to save you.
Yeah, tried, but the majority rules. So yeah, there's a lot of
was not.
Yeah, pink was good. You fucked up. Anyway, make a long story short, if you want to see any of that goofy shit, come check it out. Come say hi. Watch me make a fool of myself. It's usually good fun. So I think we've covered a lot of ground already. So I think probably start wrapping up and give you guys our contact info for if you want to get in touch with us again for stuff going forward, as well as all the fun stuff, I guess. The essentials, if you will.
Yeah, so if you have any ideas or suggestions that you would like to hear us talk about and give our opinions for, contact information will be in the show notes below. And, again, follow me at Guy of Flare Paints if you ever want to see anything that I've painted on Instagram. Follow him at, Churches Gaming on
Twitch. Yep. And then I also have my radio show that I do called Church on Sundays, because for anybody that doesn't know who I am, I guess, so to speak, or hasn't heard me speaking, I host a radio show on Sundays called Church on Sundays. No, it is not a religious program. Please, if you tune in, you are being warned now. It is not anything for that. But it is on unrestricted radio. I go live with my show at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I play fairly heavier music. I also do a little bit of banter and rambling and all that good shit. So if you're a heavy metal fan, or you just want to hear me just do derpy words and such like I do.
If you want more of this.
Yeah, if you want more of this, You can check me out at Unrestricted Radio. We actually just got an app on Google Play. If you want to download that and check out myself and some of the other really cool DJs that we have on there. We're really starting to grow. We play all genres, like I said at the start. So check it out. And there's a good chance that we'll have this podcast on the station as well going forward. So if you like what you hear on the podcast, check out Unrestricted Radio, and you'll get to see some more cool stuff or more derp stuff. However you want to look at it. That's up to you guys. So, anything else?
Not that I can think of, unless there are any games coming up that you're excited to get or play sometime in the next few months.
I think the only one that immediately comes to mind, and as far as I know they haven't put out a release date for yet, is Final Fantasy 16.
That is one I am also looking forward to. I can't wait to sink my teeth into that.
The only
Hopefully
thing
it is better gameplay-wise than 15 was. Not to say I disliked it, but it is not as polished as it could have been.
Yeah, and going forward, we'll probably have a couple of episodes tailored towards our thoughts on the various Final Fantasy games, since I think we've both played pretty much all of them.
I think between us we have played all of them except for 11.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the big one for me. I think the only thing I'm not sure of, and I hope isn't the case, is if it's a PS5 exclusive. I would hope that it would be available on PC.
I think it'll be on, at the very least, both consoles.
Yeah.
But I don't see them making it an exclusive with how long they've been working on it.
Yeah.
Because when they started, PS5 and Series X hadn't even been announced yet.
True, yeah, actually. But yeah, that's the big one for sure. And then, I mean, I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise for the last probably week and a half or so, and it's
been
fun.
A week and a half, 2 weeks. You were talking to me about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like, I wouldn't say I would put it above World as of yet. I haven't completed the full game, but from what I've seen and what my roommate who's played through the main what would be storyline of it, I think it definitely offers a good foundation for the game as a whole, and then as they progress to add more content with DLC and updates and whatnot, it can definitely bloom into something bigger. I think, and I could go into a whole layer of this in an episode another time, but in a nutshell, it is a lot of fun. A lot of the creature designs are really cool. They brought back all of the old weapons from World, and they have the same kind of play style. You get a dog, which is a Palamute, along with the Palicos, which is really cool. And you can ride Doggo all over the place to get to places faster. So it definitely has a lot of cool stuff to it, and it kind of keeps that entertainment value that Monster Hunter, I think, has done pretty much with every one of their games. It never really gets old. It's one of those games that you keep going through and getting new gear and weapons and whatnot, and it's still enjoyable even if you...
It's got a gameplay loop similar to an MMO where there's always just that new piece of gear that you can go and get.
Exactly. And I think that's what is nice about it, is it
and yet you're not super into MMOs.
I don't really have a rebuttal to that, enough honesty. It is what it is.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that popped up, because I think the only other game that has really, well, I can't even say it's a game because it's more of an update, it feels like, is the 7 remake expansion.
The Yuffie thing.
Yeah.
The PS5 exclusive.
Is it PS5?
Yeah. Yeah, I stopped up at our local game store yesterday, and I was talking to one of the guys that works there, and we were both complaining about that, and how it's going to alienate so many of the people that got the game for the PS4.
That's really stupid.
Yeah,
that's
considering
really stupid.
Especially considering just how hard it is to get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X right now.
I get the idea that you want to encourage people to get the PS5,
but when they're not available, all you're doing is making them mad.
Exactly. especially for something with content that's geared towards like a game that was already established on the PS4, and no heads up prior. I think that would be the biggest thing that would irk me, is the fact that there wasn't really, unless you knew something.
I mean, the timed exclusivity part has expired as of, I think it was last week. So we could be seeing it come out with a bundle set for the Xbox and PC.
Okay.
So there is that possibility.
Right. But that's still unfortunate that that's kind of how they set it up. But
yeah, it's in bad taste.
Like, again, like I understand for consoles and everything else to have their own version exclusive, or their games that are exclusive to
or if the
their
game
platform
had been released as like a launch title for the PS5. Sure, okay, whatever. But
yeah, like going forward that would be fine, especially for the game likely being a 3-part remake.
At minimum 3.
Yeah.
Like, I was reading through an interview with the director for it probably 4 or 5 months ago now, but he was talking about how they plan on doing a minimum of 3 parts depending on how 2 and 3 are received, and they want to do more than that, but you know, again, it depends on how well parts 2 and 3 are received, because they want to try and cram as much of the new content into the game as they can, but they also want it to be digestible.
Right, absolutely. So
if you've played any Final Fantasy game from start to finish, you'll know that the last like 10% of any Final Fantasy game always feels rushed, and like there was more that they wanted to add but just couldn't.
Yeah. Like there's definitely that margin for sure. Like I think some of them do it better than others, but I do think in the grand scheme they do try to.
It's like great pacing for the first 90% of the game, and it's just like that last 10% is just they're trying to get so much taken care of, so many loose ends tied up, and it's just, it doesn't work. Like the games are still great, but like you end up with questions that just don't get answered.
Yeah, and that I think is the big, like,
if you tell me there's an app for that, I'm going to punch you, because I shouldn't have to look at outside sources to get all of the information from within a game.
True.
Especially a game that is not something that is like an online multiplayer experience or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like the story is going to continue onward. Like, even with games in this field, like Final Fantasy and whatnot, that add DLC to either expand on the story or like...
Or even the ones that get sequels, like 10 or 13. For the love of God, I'm never playing that game again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother beast in itself.
That could be a whole episode right there.
It really could. And
all 3 parts of Final Fantasy 13.
I actually was watching like bits and pieces of a playthrough live stream on like a loop or whatever of like 13 in its entirety, and I was just like
the game is beautiful.
The
art design and
the characters,
the graphics themselves, like the game is gorgeous to look at. The problem is the story has no cohesion, and you're spending the first 20 hours of the first game just in the intro. Like I think it's the only Final Fantasy game I've played that I have not finished.
Yeah. I think... yeah. Again, we could delve into a whole episode dedicated to just this one game of the franchise. But we will hold off for today and just kind of give you that our 2 cents on that. Because
Final Fantasy 13 belongs in the trash can.
Like... There's definitely, in a nutshell, a lot of the Final Fantasy games do offer a lot of really good story, gameplay,
and replayability. Even.
Exactly.
Like, you can go back and replay most of them and find things that you didn't notice the first time through. It's good writing.
Yeah, but then you'll have those few
where you can't even finish the game the first time because it's just so bad. Or it's like when someone recommends an anime to you and they're like, yeah, after you finish the first season, it really gets good. Like, I have to watch an entire season for it to be No, I'll pass. Thank you.
Can I just skip that first season? Is that
No,
allowed?
there's a lot of information there that you're going to need.
I feel like I could just like wiki this and get.
No. You have to watch it. You have to experience it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll skip it.
Yeah, I'll pass.
If you have to put that much time into something for it to be good or understandable, it's not worth it.
Yeah, either you have more dedication and patience than we do, or
you're 14 and have nothing but time, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
everyone's
unreasonable.
14 at some point.
Exactly. Like that's a little more reasonable because, yeah, what else are you doing?
I remember when I was 14, all I wanted to do was watch Naruto and play video games.
Yes, the good old days.
Right. I can't believe Naruto is still as popular as it is.
Well, now they got the spin-off.
What is it, Boruto?
Boruto. I haven't watched any of it, but I've heard apparently it's gotten better, but
Gotten better is not something I want to hear in a recommendation for a show, though.
I've never said I watched it, if I'm being honest. I've only heard, like, various things. Like, I've heard, like, it starts off kind of with all these random bits, and it's, like, with how Naruto kind of ended.
I mean, if you tell me that they were world building, we're going to fight because the world's already established.
It's essentially world building, but with a new generation. But it's still not... yeah. And then...
I'll stick to the video games.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't watched it, so I can't really give a whole definitive opinion on it. I've seen like bits and pieces, but nothing exclusive that really helps me to understand the full identity of what the sequel is supposed to entail, apart from it being Naruto's kid and other side characters.
And I think it's like, what, Sasuke and...
yeah, like they...
Sakura's kid as well.
Yeah, like they had pretty much every character that we knew in Naruto that didn't die
had a kid.
Had a kid. Yeah, and now you have this whole new generation of kids that you have to learn the names of.
Oh, so what you're saying is they did what Dragon Ball Z was going to do with Gohan.
Yeah, that's about it.
And now we understand why Dragon Ball Z continued to be super successful and Boruto is a joke.
As far as we know. Like I said, I've never watched Boruto.
Well,
so...
I mean, like, the memes are out there.
Yeah, true. So, you know.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And again, anime is another whole realm that we could delve into and spend an episode or two.
We'll probably have a whole episode on various anime that influenced our interests in video games and other media and whatnot in popular culture.
Because games in general and anime kind of almost go hand in hand.
Nowadays, definitely.
Yeah,
like,
so it's not...
Back when we were kids, not so much, but
yeah,
definitely now.
You would definitely get like the animes than the video games.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, whereas now it's like you get...
Yeah, because I mean, like, now we have Netflix making anime based on video games.
True.
Like,
Castlevania.
Just recently, Dota.
Did they really?
Yeah. It's actually pretty good.
Huh.
7 out of 10 would recommend.
I knew they were doing like an animated series for League as well, kind of telling the story of like the whole universe and whatnot. I don't know what platform they're going to use it off of, but I knew that was...
I wouldn't be surprised if that's another Netflix one.
Probably.
They've been picking up a lot of titles for various video games. Is, like you said, Castlevania, there's Dota, there's...
What's the other one?
What was the other one?
Shit.
Yeah, right. Let's see, Dota, Castlevania... Huh.
There's definitely at least one more, I feel like.
Yeah, there is. I just can't think of which one it was.
We'll have to get back to you on that one.
If you're really curious, you can just go onto Netflix.
Yeah, right.
Look. It's under the Netflix originals.
Exactly. But yeah, as far as that stuff goes, that's true. Like, games and anime are definitely kind of almost a cohesive thing now. So for us, it'll definitely be something we'll talk about to some length.
Yeah.
Going
Especially
forward.
if anything new comes out, like if they give us another season of Castlevania.
They're supposed to be.
Well, I'm saying, like, within the next few weeks.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I was going to say.
Like, if they drop that on us, we'll probably push whatever we had planned for that week back a week and start talking about that.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm planning on having a discussion on Castlevania as well as other animes going forward.
Dragon's Dogma, that was the other one.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we'll definitely be touching base on a lot of that kind of stuff going forward because there's a lot of good ones, and again, anime video games are almost one and the same nowadays. It's just that you typically watch one versus play the other.
Although if it's a Kojima game, you do both.
You're not wrong. So, yeah. Ultimately, like, this is kind of what you'll expect from us. Probably a little bit more fluent.
Yeah,
probably not.
As we get more comfortable with doing this, we'll definitely have less stuttering and...
Oh, I'll still stutter.
That's true.
But overall, we'll have a little bit more of a tempo.
We'll have more of an idea of what we're trying to say.
We'll also have a lot more various topics that we can go a lot more in depth with. And like we said...
Talk about maybe the history of different genres of video games one of these times.
Potentially, yeah.
If you look at shooters, that's a really interesting history there.
Oh, God. Or fighters.
Yeah.
Especially with like the Mortal Kombat movie coming out.
I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. It actually looks good.
Well, that's what they said about the one in the 90s.
I mean, that was the 90s, though. we all know how the 90s were to a lot of, like, adaptations.
Oh, God. And the early 2000s. Let's not forget Tomb Raider.
Oof. Yeah, okay, you win. So, I think...
Or the 80s with Mario.
Okay,
it was like the
it was in
80s,
that range,
90s.
but we don't talk about the Mario live action adaptation. That's
but that's canon.
Guys, I think that's going to do it for us for today and our debut podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Again, if you want to hear more of this kind of shit, we'll
have us here at Gaming in General. And again, if you want to send us any ideas or suggestions, we will link our email in the show notes below.
Exactly. We'll have all the contact info for all this kind of shit. Feel free to send us suggestions, cut us shit, all
or
that.
If you just want to tell us we're idiots. Because I think that's an apt description.
It is what it is, but thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys hopefully next week.
Well, that's the plan.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Either way, we hope you enjoyed. We'll catch you guys later.
Catch you later.